In the dead of night, when shadows whisper secrets to the walls, a simple board, etched with letters and numbers, beckons the unseen. One finger on the planchette, and the room grows cold. What if it's not just a game? What if it's a door, left ajar to the other side? If this chills you already, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Have you ever played with a Ouija board? Tell us your stories and let's uncover the mysteries together. It was the late 19th century, a time when the veil between the living and the dead seemed thinner than ever. Gas lamps flickered in the parlors of Victorian America and Europe, casting long shadows over séances and spirit rappings. The world was awakening to the supernatural, or so they believed. Spiritualism, that fervent movement born from grief and curiosity, promised communion with those who had passed. Families gathered around tables, hands clasped, calling out to lost loved ones. But beneath the hope lay a darker undercurrent, the fear that not all spirits answered with kindness. Picture the bustling streets of Baltimore, 1890. The air hummed with invention. The telephone was revolutionizing communication, and the Eiffel Tower had just pierced the Paris sky. Yet in quiet workshops, something more arcane was taking shape. Elijah Bond, a local businessman with a keen eye for novelty, and his sister-in-law Helen Peters, a professed medium, toyed with an idea that would bridge worlds. They weren't the first to channel spirits through automatic writing or pointing devices. Ancient cultures had used similar tools, from Egyptian scrying boards to Chinese oracle papers. But theirs would be packaged, polished, and sold as entertainment. The Ouija board, they called it, drawing from the French oui and German ja, yes in two tongues, as if affirming the spirit's eager replies. As the board took form, its wooden surface inscribed with an alphabet arc, numbers from 0 to 9, and words like yes, no, and goodbye, it entered a society ripe for wonder. The American Civil War had left scars of loss, over 600,000 souls claimed by battlefields. Mothers, widows, soldiers' kin. They sought solace in the spectral. Spiritualism swelled with mediums like the Fox sisters, who in 1848 had startled Hydesville, New York, with knocks from the grave. Rappings turned to table tipping, then to planchettes, small heart-shaped pointers on casters that danced across paper, spelling messages from beyond. The Ouija refined this, making it accessible, almost playful. By 1891, Bond patented it, and the Kennard Novelty Company began mass production. At first, it was marketed as a harmless parlor game, a toy for the curious. But whispers soon followed. The board didn't always play nice. As Ouija boards flooded living rooms across the United States, tales emerged from the edges of polite society. In the drawing rooms of New England, where mediums held court under crystal chandeliers, participants described a strange energy. Fingers barely touching the planchette, yet it moved with purpose. Jerky at first, then fluid, as if guided by an invisible hand. One early account came from a Baltimore family in 1892, mere months after the board's debut. A grieving widow, her husband lost to tuberculosis, gathered friends for a session. The planchette spelled out his name, then details only he could know. A hidden letter in the attic, a forgotten debt. Joy turned to unease when the spirit lingered, demanding the board stay out after dark. "It pulls," the widow later confided to a local paper, her voice trembling, "like a current from below." But what if these weren't echoes of the departed? What if something else answered? Skeptics dismissed it as the ideomotor effect, subconscious muscle twitches fooling the mind. Yet believers pointed to the inexplicable. By the 1920s, Ouija had crossed the Atlantic, captivating Europe amid the aftermath of World War I. In London, spiritualist societies buzzed with endorsements from the elite. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, creator of the rational Sherlock Holmes, became a fervent advocate. He described sessions where the board revealed lost manuscripts, predicted events with eerie accuracy. Doyle's own encounters, detailed in his writings, painted a vivid scene: dim-lit rooms heavy with incense, the planchette racing across the board as spirits of ancient warriors spoke through modern letters. As the decades unfolded, Ouija evolved from novelty to necessity in the spiritualists' arsenal. The Great Depression deepened the longing for connection. Families shattered by economic ruin turned to the board for guidance. In rural Ohio, 1935, a farmer's wife consulted it daily for crop advice. It predicted bountiful harvests, then sudden floods that ruined them. Locals spoke of her descent, eyes hollow, muttering responses from the board even without it present. "The spirits took her voice," her brother said as she wandered fields at midnight tracing letters in the dirt. Was it madness or possession? The line blurred, fueling conspiracy whispers that Ouija wasn't invention but rediscovery of forbidden knowledge. Diving deeper into the shadows, consider the role of the occult underground. William Fuld, who seized control of Ouija production in the 1920s, styled himself the inventor, though Bond's patent loomed large. Fuld's Baltimore factory churned out thousands, but rumors swirled of his own obsessions. Workers claimed he consulted the board for business decisions only to meet a grim end in 1927, falling from a factory ladder, his death eerily foretold by a session gone wrong. Betrayed by your own creation, the planchette had spelled hours before. Coincidence? Or a curse woven into the wood? Fuld's legacy endured, his name etched on boards until Parker Brothers bought the rights in 1966, transforming it into a child's game. Yet the rebranding couldn't erase the dread. Sales soared, but so did the horror stories. By the mid-20th century, Ouija infiltrated pop culture. Yet its perils echoed in isolated cases that chilled investigators. In 1940s Los Angeles, amid the film noir glamour, a screenwriter named Harlan used the board to spark ideas for his scripts. One night, alone in his bungalow, it channeled an entity called the Watcher. Descriptions poured forth, a faceless figure in the corner observing. Harlan's neighbors heard screams, police found him catatonic, the board splintered. Recovered, he burned his notes, but fragments survived. Tales of Hollywood stars possessed, their careers derailed by spectral jealousies. "It feeds on creativity," Harlan whispered to a therapist, "turning inspiration to infestation. But what if the truth is darker than anyone imagined?" As World War II raged, soldiers carried pocket Ouija boards to foxholes, seeking fallen comrades. One account from the Pacific Theater, 1944, recounts a platoon in Guadalcanal. Huddled in the jungle's humid grip, they summoned Private Ellis, killed days prior. The planchette moved frantically, warning of an ambush. They survived, barely. Yet Ellis's spirit turned vengeful, spelling curses in the mud with their blood after a fatal skirmish. Veterans returned home haunted, their Ouija tales dismissed as shell shock. Conspiracy theorists later linked it to wartime experiments. Government occult programs testing the board as a tool for intelligence. Declassified whispers suggest Project MK Ultra precursors dabbled in spirit communication, blurring psyops with the paranormal. The post-war boom saw Ouija peak in popularity, but the 1960s counterculture twisted it into a psychedelic rite. Hippie communes in San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury experimented under strobe lights and incense clouds. A notorious case unfolded in 1967 during the Summer of Love. A group of artists high on liberation invited spirits to their crash pad. The board evoked Azazel, a demon from ancient lore promising enlightenment. Revelry turned to terror as walls bled. Voices mimicked the dead. One participant, a painter named Lila, clawed at her eyes, claiming visions of hellish gateways. She vanished weeks later, her mural, a fractured Ouija board, left as epitaph. Eyewitnesses, scarred, spoke of a rift, the board not summoning spirits but tearing open doors to realms unintended. Transitioning to the modern era, the 1970s horror renaissance amplified Ouija's menace. William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist, inspired partly by board sessions, hit screens in 1973, embedding fear in the collective psyche. Real-life parallels emerged swiftly. In 1974, a suburb of Detroit, a family of 4 gathered for what they thought was innocent fun. The teenage daughter, curious about her future, asked the board about love. It replied with a name, Malachi. Days later, she became withdrawn, speaking in tongues. Furniture levitated, scratches appeared on her skin, spelling warnings. Priests intervened, performing rites that echoed the film's drama. The entity raged, shattering windows before retreating. The family destroyed the board, but the daughter forever changed, her innocence eclipsed by shadows. These incidents weren't isolated. Across the globe, patterns repeated. In 1970s Britain, amid punk rebellion, a London squat hosted a Ouija party. The spirit Jack claimed Jack the Ripper's soul, guiding the planchette to unsolved murders details. Thrill-seekers laughed until stabbings plagued the group, self-inflicted in trances. Police baffled. Occult experts whispered of collective possession, the board as catalyst for dormant evils. Conspiracy threads wove through. Was Ouija laced with subliminal designs, engineered by shadowy elites to control the masses? Some theorists pointed to Masonic symbols hidden in the board's layout, aligning letters with ancient sigils for invocation. As the 1980s dawned, religious backlash surged. The Vatican condemned Ouija as a portal to demonic forces, linking it to rising satanic panics. In rural Texas, 1982, a church youth group defied warnings using the board in a barn loft. It summoned legion biblical demons promising power. Chaos ensued, fires sparked spontaneously, animals mutilated. One boy, the leader, hanged himself, a note scrawled, "They made me." Investigations revealed no drugs, no pranks, only the board, charred yet intact. Evangelical warnings spread, framing Ouija as spiritual warfare's front line. Yet sales persisted, Hasbro reissuing it with glow-in-the-dark flair, as if to mock the dread. The digital age promised detachment, but Ouija's grip tightened. In the 1990s, online forums, virtual boards emerged, yet physical ones haunted anew. A chilling case from Seattle, 1991. College roommates, tech-savvy skeptics, tested the board for a prank video. It spelled prophecies, stock crashes, personal betrayals that unfolded precisely. Paranoia set in. One roommate vanished, his laptop open to occult sites. Found weeks later, disoriented in the woods, he babbled of digital spirits merging with the board's ancient call. Conspiracy buffs connected dots to Y2K fears, claiming Ouija tapped ley lines disrupted by technology, unleashing hybrid entities. By the new millennium, Ouija infiltrated reality TV. Shows like Scariest Places on Earth featured board sessions in haunted asylums, capturing anomalies, EVPs syncing with planchette movements, shadows fleeing the frame. A 2005 episode in Waverly Hills Sanatorium, Kentucky, summoned patients long deceased. The medium collapsed, vomiting ectoplasm. Later autopsied, her lungs showed tuberculosis scars not her own. Skeptics cried hoax, but thermal cams registered cold spots, forming the word trapped. What if the board didn't just communicate? Did it transplant souls? Delving into global variants, Ouija's cousins carried similar curses. In Brazil's 2010's favela séances, the Jogo do Copo, glass-on-table divination, evoked favela ghosts, leading to possessions that overwhelmed shamans. One session in Rio, 2012, drew a cartel assassin's spirit, sparking gang violence mirroring the board's threats. Investigators noted the planchette's universal pull, transcending culture, as if rooted in primordial fear. The 21st century's smart homes amplified the horror. In 2015, a Silicon Valley engineer integrated Ouija with AI, creating an app-linked board. It predicted his firing accurately than his wife's affair. Rage consumed him. He smashed the device, but voices persisted through smart speakers. Committed, he scrawled warnings on walls. The gateway learns. It evolves. Tech conspiracies bloomed. Was Ouija the original algorithm programming human subconscious for otherworldly hacks? Yet amid the terror, glimmers of wonder persisted. Healers in New Age circles used it for therapy, contacting inner guides. A 2018 case in Sedona, Arizona, saw a therapist channel a client's deceased mother, resolving lifelong trauma. Peace followed, no backlash. Selective benevolence? Or does intent dictate the response? Questions lingered, fueling endless debate. Now we approach the heart of the darkness, the events that shattered illusions of control. It was 2016 in a quiet suburb of Indianapolis where the mundane met the malevolent. Sarah, a single mother of two, bought a vintage Ouija from an estate sale, drawn by its patina of age. The board, dated 1920, bore faint stains like tears in the wood. With her children asleep, she lit candles, seeking her late husband's wisdom. The planchette stirred slowly, spelling H-O-M-E. Relief washed over her until it continued. We never left. The room shifted. Temperature plummeted. Breath fogged the air. Sarah's daughter, 12-year-old Emily, wandered down, rubbing sleep from her eyes. Curiosity pulled her to the table. Together they asked innocent questions. The board replied with playground gossip, then turned. Emily's secret, it spelled. The girl paled. She had hidden a schoolyard theft, a candy bar from a friend. Guilt twisted her face. How do you know? She whispered. The planchette jerked. We see all. Panic rose as the entity identified itself. Zerath, an ancient name from Mesopotamian texts, guardian of thresholds. It demanded offerings, first trinkets, then blood pricks on fingers. Sarah tried to stop, but the planchette pinned her hand, carving initials into the wood. Nights blurred. The board appeared in dreams, floating above beds. Emily's behavior warped. Whispers to invisible friends, drawings of doors cracking open. Sarah sought help. a local paranormal team equipped with recorders and sage. They arrived under a storm-lashed sky, thunder rumbling like distant laughter. The session began professionally, questions about Zarath's origins. The board revealed fragments, a Sumerian ritual board, buried with a king, unearthed in the 19th century and repurposed. We were sealed for rebellion, it spelled, and are now free through fools. EVPS captured growls, crucifixes scorched. One investigator, veteran of dozens, felt a shove, captured on video a shadow lunging. The climax shattered at dawn. As the team chanted banishments, the planchette spun wildly, spelling a final warning. "The gateway is you!" Lights exploded, the house quaked. Emily convulsed, her voice deepening to a guttural roar. "Fools! The board is but a key. Your world is the lock, and we turn it eternal." Possessed, she levitated inches, eyes rolled back, revealing vessels of ink black. Sarah lunged, smashing the board with a hammer. Splinters flew. Emily collapsed, foaming. In the aftermath, exorcists confirmed it. Not mere haunting, but a breach. Zarath, they claimed, was no ghost but a principality, an interdimensional force using Ouija as anchor. Emily recovered, but scars remained. Night terrors, a aversion to games. Sarah burned the remnants, scattering ashes in salted earth. Yet the revelation lingered. The board's origins weren't benign invention, but corruption of ancient arcana. Patents masked a lineage tracing to necromantic tools in medieval grimoires designed to summon not loved ones, but watchers from the void. This wasn't isolated. Parallel cases echoed worldwide. In 2018 Japan, a Tokyo high school club unearthed a wartime Ouija, summoning kamikaze spirits that incited suicides mirroring imperial sacrifices. Investigators found the board etched with kanji for Eternal Gate, its planchette a shrapnel shard. The twist: spirits weren't vengeful ghosts, but echoes amplified by collective trauma. The board as resonator for societal sins. Back in the US, 2020's pandemic isolation revived Ouija in homes worldwide. Virtual sessions via apps glitched with unbidden messages. Physical boards sold out online. A cluster in New York saw families plagued. One in Brooklyn contacted a COVID victim only for the entity to spread plagues anew. Illnesses defying medicine, diagnosed as psychosomatic yet real. The revelation? Ouija thrives on fear, weaponizing isolation to widen cracks in reality. These climaxes reveal a pattern. The board doesn't create evil, it invites it. From 19th century grief to modern dread, it mirrors our shadows, amplifying what we dare not face. Ancient texts, like the Necronomicon myths, warn of such tools as talking stones that bind summoner to summoned. Was Elijah Bond an unwitting vessel, channeling forgotten rites? Or did spiritualism's founders knowingly revive them, chasing enlightenment at peril's cost? As the dust settles on these tales, a quiet unease remains. The Ouija board sits in attics and curio shops, innocuous to the eye, yet pulsing with potential. We've traced its path from Victorian curiosity to harbinger of horror, from game to gateway. Spirits may whisper comforts, but the silence between letters holds the true terror. What lingers unasked, watching, waiting for your touch? Is it toy or trap? The answer, perhaps, lies in the next session. If you dare. In the echoes of the unseen, we bid you farewell until the next mystery unfolds.